Hey guys, I haven't done a Sears update for quite a while, so I figured I'd do one really quick. Yeah, here's the Sears. A few changes have been made probably since the last time you've seen it. The first most obvious change is the stack, or actually now the lack thereof a stack. I took the stack, it was standing straight up, and I leaned it down, mostly because it was blowing smoke in my face, but at the same time it's nice because the thing used to sit this high, and when I'd go under low clearance trees, branches, you know, through the woods, stuff like that, it would catch on everything, and I didn't want to break it off. In the event of a rollover, you could potentially break it off and harm the casting on the motor up there in the block. This, the way it is now, it's angled slightly downward, so it actually keeps the smoke down towards the ground. It keeps it completely out of your face, which is awesome. I like the new setup. I don't really like that it sticks out past the front, so I really got to tweak it a little bit more. I want to slide this whole thing back a little bit to shorten it up, so that's not that big a deal. Also, the notion of having this thing sticking straight up and then having the whole tractor flip over backwards on a hill and having the exhaust basically impale you and pump you full of cancer in the process did not seem that appealing to me. So that's kind of why that got flipped down. Much more comfortable to ride this vehicle like that. It's actually quieter too when you're sitting in the driver's position, because now the exhaust exit's out here about 6 feet away from your head versus 2 feet away from your head. So really awesome, really glad I did that. Probably gonna stick with this setup, but I'm definitely gonna clean it up a little bit. The second thing you've probably already noticed is the addition of a new seat. This is a padded Tractor Supply seat. About 50 bucks, you can pick one of these up. Bolts right into the existing mounting bracket, and it's a hell of a lot more comfortable than the old pan seat that I had. Mostly because A, it's padded, and B, you can see this pan seat doesn't really have any bolsters or side supports, whereas this one, the back comes up pretty high and the sides come up pretty high, so it keeps your ass in place better than this one. I like the way this one looks better, but functionally, that one is a lot more comfortable to drive around with, especially through off-road trails where it's really bumpy and things get pretty rough, you get bounced around a lot, so it definitely cuts down on the butt hurt. The other thing that I changed, or a couple things that I changed, was the recoil. The recoil actually used to exit off the front, so when you pull it, you'd actually pull it this way. As you can see, I unbolted it and clocked it back about 90 degrees. And the reason for that is I can now sit in the driver's seat and pull this thing over to the compression stroke. And the problem was with this machine was every time you have to start it, or at least for me, you have to basically set your throttle, turn the key on, pull the pull handle to the compression stroke, come up under the hood, pushing this compression release down, then turning the key and starting it. The whole process takes about 10 to 15 seconds, and it's not a big deal, but it's kind of a pain in the ass when you want to just start it up and go. So now, what I've enabled myself to do with this is I can actually sit in the seat, pull this over to the compression stroke, and then over here, you can probably notice there is a little, like a choke cable that actually runs to the compression release, and as I pull it, it's kind of stiff to do with one hand. I can set it, and you push it back in, and the compression release is set, and I never have to leave the driver's seat. And then you turn the engine over, and as it spins back, it's allowed to return back to its normal compression position. It's a pretty simple setup. Like I said, it's just a choke cable that comes through the dash, down through all the conglomeration of wires and whatnot. It actually used rubber hose and zip ties to keep this thing firmly locked onto the gas line, believe it or not, because it was the only way I could conceivably see to get this thing to run in the arc that it needs to, pull it in the direction it needs to. And you can see I just bent the tip there, and it works on a slide. So basically the idea is you pull it into the compression position, which, yeah, there we go. Easier to do when you're sitting right in front of it. And now, as it trips, it's got this excess that I can flip back up in. The deal is, if you leave it in this position, the compression release is going to stay engaged, which is obviously not what you want. So pushing it in and having it on that slide allows it to come right back, start up, and you drive away. Nice and easy. Other than that, the Sears has remained relatively unchanged on the whole. The winch is working good. I've had to use that once or twice. This thing consumes little to no fuel when you're riding it, which is just crazy considering the amount of torque it puts out. You gotta love a diesel for that. Everything else has been functioning awesome. I love these Super Swamper Vampire tires. Probably some of the best tires I've ever had on a lawnmower. I know there's better ones out there, but for the size that I had to run, which was like a 25-inch, I forget the width, I think it's like 7 or 8 inches wide, 12-inch rim, they really are just they're awesome. It's pretty cool that this thing actually in two-wheel drive can keep up with some four-wheel drive four-wheelers. It's pretty sweet. I would eventually like to upgrade these front tires. They're 18x6, 8-inch rim. I do want to go a little bit taller. You probably can't tell from the video, but the front end sits a little bit lower than the back end, so I think I want to go with like a 20 or maybe even a 22 up front. That'll be a future upgrade. I'm not sure when I'm going to do that, but I would like to do that at some point. Other than that, everything functions just as it should. Pretty much haven't really had to put a wrench to this thing since the day I finished building it. Everything I've done to it was more of an upgrade than anything, so there we go. This is a little Sears update for you guys that have been asking me about some of the little additions that I've done that you've noticed in the videos. Some of you have a really keen eye for that kind of stuff, so sorry I held out on you for so long, but I like to test things for a little while before I say that it's a successful modification and that I approve of it, more or less. But let me know what you think of the additions. I like it. Makes it more comfortable to drive, makes it more functional to drive. I don't have to get off the thing every time to start it up. It doesn't give me lung cancer as I drive it. And my ass doesn't fall out of the seat anymore, so it's pretty cool. That's going to do it for this update. I'm going to actually go out on a romp real soon, so we'll see you later.